He didn't want trouble, can you believe it? All he craved was a fleeting moment to hold an old rifle, the M1 Garand, a piece of his soul from a time long before those smug clerks were even a spark in their parents' eyes. This wasn't just any weapon, it was a lifeline he'd gripped through the jungles of Vietnam, a silent witness to the chaos he'd survived. And yet, there he stood, a quiet figure in that gun shop, only to be met with laughter, from a clerk who couldn't see past his own arrogance. Look at him limping, the kid mocked, sneering as he called him Grandpa. Can you imagine the gall? Telling a man like that to leave, as if he were some nuisance cluttering their precious space. Oh, how little they knew. That clerk had no clue, no earthly idea, that the name etched on the dog tag dangling beneath that worn leather jacket still carried a weight heavier than every rifle on their pristine racks. But the old man? He didn't argue. He didn't shout or demand respect. Why didn't he? Because that's who he was, a man of quiet strength, stepping away one deliberate, limping step at a time, just as he always had through decades of forgotten battles. He left without a word, dignity intact, while those fools behind the counter snickered, oblivious to the storm they'd just unleashed. What they didn't know, couldn't have known, was that his name, James C. Beckett, wasn't just a relic of the past. Oh no, it was a living legend, a call to arms for those who'd never let him fade into the shadows. Exactly 1 hour later, can you feel the tension building? The parking lot roared to life. No sirens, no blaring horns, just the low, menacing hum of 3 matte black SUVs rolling in like justice itself. Out stepped an entire Navy SEAL team, 12 men, can you picture it, moving in perfect, silent formation, their boots striking the pavement like a drumbeat of retribution. No warnings, no grand entrances, just one chilling question cutting through the air, where is he? Where is he? The words hung there, heavy with purpose, a demand that didn't need volume to shake the earth beneath their feet. But wait, before we plunge deeper into this heart-pounding tale, let me ask you something straight from the soul. Are you ready to stand with us, to shout from the rooftops our gratitude for these unsung heroes who've given everything and asked for nothing in return? Can you feel their sacrifice pulsing through this story? If you believe these raw, real, and powerful moments deserve to echo forever, hit that subscribe button right now, yes, now, and join us in keeping their legacies alive. Because what's unfolding here isn't just a story, it's a thunderclap, a wake-up call to the quiet legends walking among us, unnoticed until someone dares to truly see them. The gun shop perched on the edge of town, nestled between a bait store reeking of fish and a hardware warehouse stacked with nails and dreams. Its tinted windows gleamed with an air of authority, false authority, if you ask me. Inside, racks of rifles stood tall like trophies from wars no one there had ever tasted, their barrels gleaming with pride they hadn't earned. Glass counters sparkled with handguns so polished they looked like props from a movie set, too perfect, too unreal. Behind the register, 2 young clerks slouched, faces buried in their phones, half listening to the soft twang of country music drifting from a dusty ceiling speaker. The place wasn't busy, did it ever need to be? This was a shop built on image, not heart, a hollow shell of bravado that didn't know the meaning of the word service. Then, the front door chimed. Did you hear it? A sound so soft, yet it shifted everything. In walked a man who didn't demand attention but claimed it all the same, his very presence hushing the room. His boots were scuffed and worn, patched jeans hugged his legs like old friends, and that brown leather jacket? Older than the clerks themselves, creased with stories they'd never understand. His face was weathered, etched with lines of a life hard-lived, but his eyes, oh, those eyes, sharp as ever beneath the brim of a faded Navy SEAL cap. He moved slowly, deliberately, his limp a badge of honor, not shame. He didn't wander or gawk, he strode straight to the counter, rested a trembling hand, still strong, still steady, on the glass, and waited. Waited. As if the world owed him that much. One clerk glanced up, his forced smile as fake as the polish on those guns. Need something, sir, he drawled, barely interested. The old man nodded once, firm and sure. Yeah, wondering if you still carry the M1 Garand replica from the back wall, the real stock model. His voice was calm, unshaken, a river running deep. The kid blinked, thrown off. "That's a collector's piece, not something you'd want to fire," he said, like he knew better. The old man didn't miss a beat. "I didn't ask to fire it," he replied, steady as stone. "Just wanted to hold it for a moment. Haven't touched one in decades. Can you feel the weight of that? Decades. A lifetime of memories locked in that request, and all he asked was to feel it again." But then, oh, then, the second clerk, a little older, a little crueler, stepped in with a chuckle that stung like a slap. "That rifle's heavier than it looks, Pops. Might be a bit much for your back." How dare he? The old man didn't flinch, didn't smile. "I used to carry one across jungles," he said, voice like iron. "I can manage it across a showroom." A comeback so simple, so true, it should have stopped them cold. But no, the tone shifted, ugly and swift. The first kid laughed too loud, too sharp. "Okay, Rambo, unless you're buying, you're just taking up space. Let the real customers in." Real customers? Who did he think he was talking to? The second piled on, venom dripping, "Yeah, we're not a museum." A museum. As if this man's life, his service, was some dusty exhibit to be mocked. The old man paused. "Did you see it?" A heartbeat where the air held its breath. It seemed like he might speak, might set them straight, might tell them of the jungles, the blood, the brothers he'd carried. But instead, he looked down at the counter, nodded to himself, and whispered, "Understood." Understood? After all that? Then he turned, walked to the door, and left. No protest, no rage, just one man, alone again, limping back into a world that had forgotten the price he'd paid for its freedom. How could they not see it? How could they miss the hero standing right there? Inside, the clerks shrugged, back to their phones, laughing like nothing happened. They didn't notice the woman by the ammo rack, mid-30s, gym shirt, bald cap pulled low, watching it all, her eyes burning with quiet fury. They didn't see her slip outside, pull a phone from her pocket, and make a call that would change everything. 3 words, sharp and urgent, he was there. Who was she? A daughter? A friend? Or just someone who knew injustice when she saw it? The parking lot stirred. Did you feel the shift? A matte black SUV rolled in, engine purring like a predator, parking close to the entrance. Then another, then a third. No music, no fanfare, just dark, silent machines with tinted windows and a purpose you could feel in your bones. Inside, the clerks kept joking, scrolling, blind to the reckoning gathering outside. Then, bam, the doors swung open, all 3 at once. 12 men stepped out, their movements slow, deliberate, but oh, so powerful. Can you picture them? They weren't loud, didn't need to be, their presence alone made the air heavy, thick with meaning. Some in civilian clothes, some in dress uniforms, most didn't need either. It was in their shoulders, their eyes, the way they scanned the street out of habit, not fear. They crossed the sidewalk in silence, stepped through the door one by one. The chime rang softly, did it tremble, and even that sound felt heavier now. Not a word. They fanned out, a calm semicircle facing the counter, a wall of loyalty and strength. The youngest clerk, slouched on a stool, barely looked up. "Welcome in, gents. Looking for anything specific today?" he mumbled, bored. Then he glanced up, and froze. 12 men, silent, staring right through him. Can you imagine the chill that ran down his spine? The oldest SEAL, gray hair, square jaw, chest blazing with ribbons and that unmistakable trident, stepped forward. "An hour ago," he said, voice low but piercing, "one of us walked through this door. One of us." The words hit like a hammer. The second clerk stammered, "Sir, I think there's a misunderstanding," but the SEAL silenced him with a look. Oh, that look. He didn't come here to be honored, he went on, didn't ask to be recognized. He just wanted to see a rifle he hadn't touched since Vietnam. Your staff laughed, called him Grandpa, told him to leave. You didn't ask who he was. You didn't care. Didn't care. How could they not care? He set a scorched flag patch on the counter, folded, worn, sacred. He pulled this off my uniform when I was bleeding out in Helmand, he said. Carried me out on foot, 22 hours, no radio, no backup, with a hole in his side the size of a fist. He never told anyone, never asked for thanks. But when he walked in here today, you treated him like a problem. A problem? This hero, a problem? The younger clerk swallowed hard, eyes darting for an exit. The SEAL stood firm. We're not here for revenge. We don't need an apology. But he won't speak for himself, so we're speaking for him. Another SEAL laid down a photo, 8 men, dust-caked, sunburned, smiling, Beckett in the center, young and unbreakable. The clerk's jaw dropped. I didn't know, he croaked. Exactly, the SEAL said, slow and final. You didn't ask. No threats, no shouting, just truth, raw and heavy. Then they turned, all 12, and walked out as quietly as they'd come, leaving a silence that roared louder than any gun. Outside, a crowd gathered. Did you see them? Phones out, not for drama, but to capture the weight of it all. The SEALs didn't wave, didn't linger, they climbed into their SUVs and drove off, one by one, like ghosts of honor fading into the dusk. But inside? The air wouldn't settle. The clerk slumped, staring at that photo, realizing he'd dismissed history itself. And soon, oh, so soon, the world would know who they'd dared to push away. That photo? Viral in hours across veteran groups. A customer snapped it, 12 SEALs, silent, facing 2 frozen clerks. The caption? When you disrespect a SEAL, you get all of them. Shares piled up, flag emojis everywhere. Then someone asked, who was the old man? And that's when the floodgates broke. A name rose up, James C. Beckett. A man who'd lived among them, polite, alone, that beat-up SEAL Team 3 cap his only clue. No one had asked, why hadn't they asked? Now they knew, and the stories poured out, he saved my uncle in '91. He's a ghost from classified files. A legend, unboasted, unveiled at last. The news called it, Silent Visit, 12 SEALs standing for a local vet. And Beckett? He stayed quiet, as always. But his team? They'd spoken for him, not with fists, but with presence, loyalty that shook the earth. So, have you known a Beckett? A hero who never asked for glory? Share their name below, let's lift them up. And if this hit you hard, subscribe, let's keep these legends alive forever. Imagine this, a commenter spills a secret online, voice trembling with pride, he was my uncle's CO in '91, saved 3 men in Panama, didn't talk about it once after coming home. Can you even fathom that kind of humility? Another jumps in, awe dripping from their words, if that's Beckett, we're talking about a real ghost, the kind of guy you only hear about in hushed briefings, never on the evening news. Then, out of nowhere, someone digs up a treasure, a grainy, scanned personnel summary, buried deep in a military archive, and throws it into the world. There it is, undeniable, Master Chief Special Warfare Operator James Charles Beckett, SEAL Team 3. Joined in 1966, retired in 2004. Bronze Star, Silver Star, Purple Heart, and a slew of unlisted commendations that hint at secrets we'll never know. His record? A breathtaking roll call, Vietnam, Mogadishu, Panama, Iraq, over 35 confirmed personnel extractions in hostile zones. No autobiography, no press, no interviews, just decades of silence, decades of getting the job done. How does a man like that walk among us, carrying all that history without a whisper? The local news station catches wind of something extraordinary, their headline simple yet electric, Silent Visit, 12 Navy SEALs show up at gun store in support of local veteran. No over-the-top drama, no tabloid flair, just the stark truth. A man walked into a shop, was rudely asked to leave, and an hour later, a team of SEALs rolled in like a quiet storm. Suddenly, this overlooked figure, this man they dared to dismiss, became a blazing symbol of everything we've let slip through our fingers: respect, honor, gratitude. Can you feel the weight of that moment? Inside the gun shop, the air turned heavy, the silence unbroken. The clerks. They hadn't spoken a word to each other in over an hour, stunned, maybe ashamed. On the counter sat a photograph, a gift from the SEALs, 8 men in a black and white snapshot, taken somewhere in a desert long ago. Muddy, sunburnt, young, their eyes hard as flint. And there, in the center, stood Beckett, arms crossed, a half-smile playing on his lips, saying nothing yet somehow everything. What must it have felt like to be in that room, staring at that image? Customers trickled in later, but they didn't care about ammo or gear. No, they were drawn to something bigger. "Who's the man in the photo?" they'd ask, voices soft with curiosity. "Is he coming back?" One older man, a Marine from Desert Storm, stepped up to the counter, his gaze locked on that picture for a full minute. Then, without a sound, he raised his hand in a salute. Can you imagine the chills that ran through that place? And walked out, leaving the silence thicker than before. A veteran-owned publication seized the moment, publishing a piece called, "The Ones Who Stand When You're Gone." Its final line hit like a thunderclap, quoted thousands of times in the days that followed. James Beckett didn't need to speak. His silence was covered by 12 voices who chose not to raise theirs either. Isn't that just breathtaking? Back inside the store, the manager stumbled in, pale as a sheet, gripping his phone like it might steady him. That photo. It had pinged his screen twice before he even pulled into the lot. Word was spreading fast. A scorched flag patch lay on the counter, untouched, a quiet relic of something profound. He didn't lash out at the clerks, didn't even glance their way. Instead, he marched to the display case, pulled out the M1 Garand, the very rifle the old man had asked to see, and set it beside the photo with a reverence that could break your heart. Then, with a trembling hand, he wrote a note, slipped it into a clear frame next to the weapon. He carried it once. "We'll carry the memory now." No grand gestures, just pure, raw truth. Outside, a tribute began to bloom. Someone placed a single white flower against the door, then a challenge coin, then a folded paper bearing one word: respect. By nightfall, a small crowd had gathered, some to honor him, others just to witness the spot where something real had happened. No yelling, no chaos, just a reverent hush that screamed louder than 1,000 headlines ever could. Can you hear it? And Beckett? He didn't chase the spotlight, didn't even know it was there. No posts, no interviews, no nod to the tidal wave crashing online. He went home the same way he'd arrived, quiet, unnoticed, a shadow slipping through the world. But oh, how things had changed. For the first time in years, people passing him on the sidewalk didn't just glance past, they looked twice, eyes widening with recognition. The town finally knew who they'd brushed aside, and who had answered in his place. In the days that followed, something shifted, not loud or flashy, but deep, soul deep. That gun shop. It wasn't just a store anymore with a cash register and tactical gear, it became a shrine to memory. People didn't come to buy, they came to reflect. Veterans walked in, not with lists but with stories, their voices low and steady. Some left patches from their own units beside Beckett's photo, tributes from brothers in arms. Others murmured, "Is he okay?" A question heavy with care, as if speaking too loud might shatter the magic. But no one really knew. Here's the truth, James Beckett didn't bend, didn't waver. He still walked 2 miles every morning before the sun climbed too high, still stopped at the same corner diner for black coffee, no sugar, no nonsense, and still claimed that back booth, the one no one dared to share. He never once spoke of the day he was thrown out or the men who stood tall for him, not to the waitress pouring his coffee, not to the cook flipping eggs, not even to the old Marine who'd sometimes nod across the room in quiet respect. Yet, people saw him, really saw him. When a local high school invited veterans to speak in history class, Beckett didn't answer. But a week later, an envelope landed on the principal's desk. Inside, a single handwritten letter, no name, no signature, just a map reference and the names of 6 men saved in a 1970 rescue op. They framed it, hung it in the hallway without a fuss, a silent testament to a life of service. Can you feel the power in that simplicity? Back at the gun shop, they didn't let it fade. That scorched patch. It found a forever home in the display case, mounted in glass by the owner, who hadn't even been there that day. Beside it, he etched an inscription, "For the man we didn't recognize, and the brothers who wouldn't let us forget." The story took flight, spreading across veteran forums, crackling over talk radio, slipping into policy meetings no one dared to broadcast. Why? Because that day wasn't a protest or a brawl, it was something rarer, something sacred, men standing for one of their own without a single word. And that message? It hit like a freight train, lodging deep in every heart that heard it. 2 weeks later, the SEALs came back, but not to the shop. They went to Beckett's diner, his sanctuary. They didn't grab a table or kick up a fuss, they just filed in, one by one, and stood silently by his booth while he sipped his coffee, steam curling in the air. He looked up, met their eyes, and for a heartbeat, no one breathed, time froze. Then the youngest SEAL, a kid not even born when Beckett hung up his boots, stepped forward, voice soft but steady, "Sir, if it's all right, we'd like to sit with you." Beckett nodded once, a small, mighty yes, and they filled the booth, no more words needed. For the next hour, the diner was silent, not a sound, but everyone there felt it, remembered it, because that silence roared louder than anything else ever could. Can you picture it? Some men don't need titles or cheers to be giants. They don't beg for credit, don't shout their victories, they just do what's right and fade into the quiet. Chief James Beckett? He didn't show up to prove a thing. He wasn't there for applause or thanks, he knew his worth, carved it into the world with every step. What mattered was that his team knew it too, that they never forgot. When the world shrank and turned cold, they showed up, not with fury, but with presence. That's loyalty. That's brotherhood. That's the code, unwritten, unspoken, carried mission by mission in the still of the night. Most folks wouldn't have spared a glance for the man with the limp and the faded cap. But 12 SEALs did. And now, we do too. So here's my challenge, have you ever known someone like Chief Beckett? Someone who served, who never craved praise, who kept their story locked tight but changed lives all the same. Drop their name in the comments, tell us who they were, say the things they never would. They deserve to be remembered, don't they? This story resonates with me on a deep level because it highlights the often overlooked heroes walking among us, those who never ask for recognition but deserve it more than anyone. It's a stark reminder of how easy it is to forget the true cost of freedom, the sacrifices made by individuals like Chief Beckett, who carry burdens that many can't even fathom. What strikes me most is the way we sometimes treat these quiet warriors, with ignorance, disrespect, and a complete lack of understanding. Those clerks didn't recognize him, didn't care to know his story, and instead chose mockery over reverence. It's maddening, and yet, it's a reflection of a larger societal issue we forget too easily. We're quick to judge, quick to mock, and often forget to pause and acknowledge the silent strength of those who have given so much. But then, there's something beautiful in how the story flips, how those who truly understand, who have walked similar paths, come together to honor him. It's a stark contrast to the apathy we see so often, and it's heartening to know that true respect doesn't come from applause or flashy gestures, but from understanding, loyalty, and silent solidarity. This tale is an invitation to look deeper, to see the invisible heroes in our lives, and to honor them, not with words that are too often hollow, but with actions that reflect real gratitude. There's a lesson in this, don't let the quiet strength of others go unnoticed. Take the time to learn their stories and offer the respect they've earned, even if they've never asked for it. Thank you for being here, for standing with us through this incredible tale. If it shook you, if it means something, then please, subscribe, smash that notification bell, and don't miss a beat of this journey. Let's honor the silent sacrifices that built us, together, louder than ever.